Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Hurry Up Live. I'm your host, Adam. Let's get into it. So, today I thought I'd do something fun. I normally don't do mock drafts, so I thought I'd do a live one on the air right now. I've already got it started with the PFF mock draft simulator. But before we get into that, I also will be telling you about the draft guide that I got. Sorry, I can't see it. Look at me, look like an idiot. You can barely see it, but here's a draft guide. It's there. I don't know why it's not showing up, but let's do this real quick. So I have a draft guide here. It's Lindsay's sports draft guide. This is looking ridiculous. Here it is. See, here it is in front of my face. See it? Got Kayvon Thibodeau on the cover. Crazy, right? And then we're going to be looking at this draft guide. Who's that? That's Joey Bosa. What? He's not in this draft. Correct. He's not in this draft. You know why? Because we're going back to do some homework on this draft because a lot of people keep telling me that Daniel Jones would have been number one in this draft. So we want to do some research and see what the same publication, this is Lindsay's publication, this is Lindsay's sports publication, 3 years difference. Both defensive players on the cover, by the way. Kind of crazy, right? Both Joey Bosa and Kayvon Thibodeau on the covers. And they both came out a little earlier, but I want to do a quick comparison. But let's get to the mock draft real quick. So far, I started the draft before the show just to get to the Giants picks. And so far, who's gone? Jaguars picked Aiden Hutchinson with the first pick overall in the draft. In the 2022 draft, Aiden Hutchinson goes first. That could very well happen. Kayvon Thibodeau goes to the Lions at pick number 2. Ahmad Gardner goes to the Texans with pick number 3. And at pick number 4, Charles Cross goes to the New York Jets. Now, who's on the board for the Giants? Well, let's look at this. Derek Stingley is now at the top of the board. So do the Giants, mind you, Ekwonu and Evan Neal are on the board. So the Giants can pick whoever they want at this point in the draft, and hope that they can get it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick Evan Neal because I'm in love with Evan Neal. So at 5, the Giants pick Evan Neal. The Panthers went with Ike Ekwonu at number 6. Well, guess who's on the board at 7? Derek Stingley was the pick for the New York Giants. So the first round draft simulator is now over. They're grading my draft. And the 2 guys I picked for the Giants were Derek Stingley and Evan Neal. If the Giants came away with those 2 guys in the first round, it'd be great. I only did the first round. And if you grade that draft by PFF, it is a A- for Evan Neal. I don't know why that would be an A-. That would be an A+ in my eyes. And an A for Derek Stingley Jr. Now, again, I only did the first round to kind of give you a way of who went. Let's see who else went in this draft. So to give you the entire draft first round, they went Aiden Hutchinson, Kayvon Thibodeau, Ahmad Sauce Gardner, Charles Cross went to the Jets at 4, 5, Evan Neal to the Giants, 6, Ike Ekwonu, 7, Derek Stingley, 8, Trevon Walker to Atlanta. That's a pretty good pick. 9 was Kyle Hamilton. 10 was Trent McDuffie to the Jets. I don't think the Jet fans would want that. I think they would want Charles Cross, but I think they would probably go edge rusher and a wide receiver. Right one spot below that, Washington picked Garrett Wilson. 12, Karolakis went to Minnesota. I don't agree with that pick, but I wasn't making him. The computer was. The Texans then got Jameson Williams in the 13th pick. Drake London went to number 14 to the Ravens. Interesting. 15 went to Jordan Davis, which is the Eagles, which I would not want Jordan Davis on the Eagles to terrorize the Giants for the next however many years. 16, Malik Willis, the quarterback from Liberty, went to the Saints. That probably is a good fit there. Tyler Lindenbaum went to the LA Chargers, pretty good at 17. 18 is Devin Lloyd. 19 is Chris Olave to the Saints. That's a good pick. Devin Lloyd went to the Eagles. So the Eagles are getting Jordan Davis and Devin Lloyd in this draft. If I were the Giants, it'd be pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy, if you ask me. But so Devin Lloyd and Jordan Davis. Oh my God. And then the Saints get Chris Olave. So the Saints get their quarterback at 16, and they get another receiver at 19 at Chris Olave. Zion Johnson goes in the first round, goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Wow. And Jermaine Johnson II goes to New England with Matthew Judon, Kyle Van Noy, and now Jermaine Johnson. That defense would be stacked. I would not want to be in the AFC East if that guy landed there. Devontae Wyatt out of Georgia went to the Green Bay Packers at 22. 23, Nakobe Dean goes to Arizona. Interesting pick there. I like that. Nakobe Dean, obviously Devin Lloyd was off the board. Andrew Booth Jr. of Clemson goes to the Cowboys. I'm not sure that that's the pick that they would make there, especially with Trevor Penning on the board. Trevor Penning goes to Buffalo. Interesting pick there. And then Bernard Raymond goes from Central Michigan to Tennessee Titans at 26. Tyler Smith out of Tulsa. So we have a run on tackles go here, right? So 3 tackles have gone in, I do believe, yes, 5 tackles overall in the first. No, excuse me, 6 tackles overall in the first round have gone up until this point. Tyler Smith being the 6th to Tampa Bay. Sky Moore, receiver from Western Michigan, goes to Green Bay. Daxton Hill, the cornerback from Michigan, goes to Kansas City, and the Arnold Ebiketie goes to Kansas City at 30. The edge rusher. And at 31, Kamir Elam, I like him, another cornerback taken off the board. So there's been a lot of cornerbacks. And Kenyon Green. So let's do the cornerbacks so far. I'll give you a total: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 corners go. Crazy to think that. And then linemen are full and plentiful. The entire NFL first round, at least in this mock, have gone all over the place. So again, the Giants picked Derek Stingley. I mean, we could do a mock draft we'll do a new mock draft while you guys are on here. We'll go 3 rounds and we'll see what happens there. Of course, I'll be the Giants. If you guys have anything in the comments, if you want me to pick another team. What's good, Jeff? How you be? Steve Summers. That's the Steve Summers line. If you guys don't know who Steve Summers is, WFAN, he always asks you, how you be? So before we do another mock draft simulator, I just want to bring out Kayvon Thibodeau again, right? And I want to bring out Joey Bosa. So this is a exercise in what we're going to do here, right? So we'll match our mock draft up with the first round at least to see what the 2020 book. Sup, Mac? How you doing? What the 2020 book looks like? But this is the 2019 book. Adam, why'd you bring out the 2019 book? Because I want to show you something. So remember, the 2019 was when Daniel Jones was drafted. Now, I don't know if you can see this. Dwayne Haskins is the main cover man here. But if you can see it, it says C+ for quarterbacks. Mind you, this is the 2019 draft class book. This is great radio here, people. Me flipping through a page of books. I know, oh, what are you doing, Adam? You're sitting here flipping through a page of books. Anyways, so remember, that was C+ 3 years ago. Guess what? C+ in this book. Okay? C+. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, Adam, why do you do this exercise? Because everyone's telling me how good Daniel Jones is going to be. And in this book, they have Daniel Jones in the first round, just like everybody else is in the first round. Let's see who's in the first round in this book. Oh, let's see. Kenny Pickett in 22 is ranked a first rounder in this book. Carson Strong, whether you like it or not, they believe he's a first rounder. And Malik Willis is a first round, second round guy, right? Matt Carroll, they say, is a first round, second round guy. So I'm just saying to you, I just want people to know that, you know, Daniel Jones, a good guy. Hope he's Hope he does well this year, obviously, because if the Giants do well, he'll do well. But I just want to let the rankings know that it's never an exact science here, right? It's never an exact science. Um, you know, it's never an exact science. Nobody knows. This is a 3-year book. This book has Joey Bosa on the cover. Okay. 2019. I just wanted to do that exercise with you to show you that it doesn't matter what everyone says. The rankings are the rankings. And this is the book, right? The new book with Kayvon Thibodeau. Both of them are defensive players. The point is that I'm trying to make is this is not an exact science. Nobody loved the quarterbacks in 2019, and look what happened, right? Basically, only 2 of them have done pretty well. Technically one, Kyler Murray, but there's 4 quarterbacks or 5 quarterbacks coming out in this draft who a lot of people like and have them different on their board. So my point is you can't just say, oh, well, Daniel Jones is going to be ranked better than these guys when he's technically a first rounder. And I named off 3 first rounders to you in the other book, and the rankings are exactly the same. So just wanted to do that, but let's get to the mock draft quickly, and we can have some fun with this. So on the clock are the Jaguars. So just to let you know who's gone first so far in the first round, Aiden Hutchinson again goes for number 1. In this draft, Ahmad Sauce Gardner goes number 2. Now that would blow my mind. Number 3, Georgia tackle, Georgia DN tackle, whatever position you want. And it's funny, the PFF mock draft simulator goes needs for the Texans every position. That's pretty funny. Ike Mekwonu goes 4 to the Jets. Now, who's on the board for the Giants at number 5? So that means the two tackles are still there. We have Kayvon Thibodeau, Charles Cross, and Evan Neal. And because and Stingley apparently is the number 1 rated player on the board. So in this mock draft, I am going to take Kayvon Thibodeau just because he is that good. And who's still left on the board as Stingley is taken by Carolina? Well, let's see. There's Charles Cross and Evan Neal. I'm going to go with what I like, even though Charles Cross is running. You know what? Let's go with Charles Cross. I was going to go with Evan Neal, but for this exercise, we'll go with Charles Cross. So now we have the whole first round going, the whole second round going, and I'll give you the results after this as the mock draft simulator goes. So on the board in the second round, Giants are at 36. Before the picks that were picked before the Giants were Sky Moore. Actually, let's get you caught up. So at 7, the Giants picked Charles Cross. At number 8, Evan Neal goes to Atlanta. That's a pretty interesting pick. Kyle Hamilton goes to Seattle. That's a solid pick for them. Drake London goes to the Jets. I don't know if Buko would be happy about that, but they get Drake London. Garrett Wilson goes to the Commanders. The pick next 11, 12, Trent McDuffie to Minnesota. Now I don't know if that would be the case for Minnesota. Pick Trent McDuffie. I know they need a corner. I know that this would be probably one of the corners they would look into. If he's on the board, they do need a corner, and we'll see what happens. They brought in Patrick Peterson. This could be a guy that can groom. Jameson Williams goes 13 to Texans. So they get a weapon there. George Karlaftis goes to the Ravens at 14, which would be an interesting choice for them there. For me, let's see who still was on the board at that point. I probably would have went Devin Lloyd or Jermaine Johnson with that pick. Oh my God, Jermaine Johnson! Wait till we get to that pick. But I would have went Jermaine Johnson for me. But George Karlaftis is landed there. Jordan Davis is 15 to the Eagles. Again, the Eagles. So I run 2 mock draft simulators, and Jordan Davis falls to both of them. Give me a friggin' break. Just good God. No one knows until they're drafted in the league, though we'll all hope Jones will succeed. Yeah, some of us hope that Jones will succeed. I've seen enough of Jones to know what I know. We'll see what happens. I'm going to back the kid because he plays for the Giants, but, average is average. Jordan Davis to the Eagles would be bad. You're right, Jeff. But let's continue on. Malik Willis would then get mocked 16 to the Saints, which is, they want their quarterback. So the first quarterback off the board, I do believe, if I'm doing this correctly, was Malik Willis at 16. Yes. So that's kind of crazy to think. And then at 17, Last mock draft, the Chargers picked Linderbaum. This time they picked Chris Olave, which I'm not sure they're going to pick Chris Olave with Mike Williams and Keenan Allen there. They need offensive line help badly. Storm Norton was terrible. So I don't know if they'd go Olave there. And then Devin Lloyd to the Philadelphia freaking Eagles. So they get Jordan Davis in one mock draft and they get Devin Lloyd in another mock draft. How crazy is that? And then the Saints go with Andrew Booth Jr. after picking their quarterback. Last mock draft that I did the prior one was Andrew, they had Chris Olave there, so that's different. Devontae Wyatt was the same. He went to Pittsburgh. He went to Pittsburgh in this draft. That was crazy. Tyler Linderbaum goes to the Patriots. That would be interesting for them to shore up the offensive line. The Kobe Dean to the Green Bay Packers. Interesting. Zion Johnson, 23, to the Arizona Cardinals. And this would break my heart because everybody, yes, the Giants got Kayvon Thibodeau, and Charles Cross, but they've got Jermaine Johnson going to the Cowboys. I would pull my hair out if Jermaine Johnson goes to the Cowboys. Trevor Penning going to the Buffalo Bills at 25. Daxton Hill, again, going to Tennessee at 26. Kareem Elam, again, 27 to Tampa Bay. Tyler Smith, again, going to Green Bay at 28. A safety being chosen by Kansas City, Lewis Shine. He's rising up draft boards. Safety out of Georgia, and then they took Bernard Raymond from Central Michigan, and then the Bengals, who need defensive help or offensive line help. Seriously, I don't know if they would have won. I don't know if they're going to go with Arnold Ebiketie, but they take Arnold Ebiketie, probably was the highest on their board, and then Desmond Ridder is taken as the second quarterback to the Lions at 32. Now, at the 33rd pick, the Jaguars select Sky Moore. Interesting pick. Kenyon Green from Texas A&M goes 34. And then George Pickens to the Jets. Buko, if you're in the chat, let me know your thoughts on the wide receiver George Pickens out of Georgia. He's good. Big Cass, what's up, man? How are you doing? We will be at your party on the 1st. But don't worry, we don't draft linebackers. Jordan Davis, Fletcher Cox, and Vernon Hargraves would be scary. It would be scary. But Nakobe Dean, Devin Lloyd would be pretty good for you, B. Cass. And B. Cass, thanks for taking a few minutes of your day and joining me today at this mock draft special edition of the Hurry Up Live. And then right now the Giants are on the clock. Let me show you some guys who are on the board right now. We have Jarvis Jones, Jalen Petrie, and Sam Howell and Leo Chanel. Woo! A couple guys on there. My gut is telling me to take I want Leo Chanel. He's not the highest ranked in this board. So, Travis Jones being there, he might be too good to pass up, and Jalen Petrie. I'm going to go here. I know Travis Jones is on the board, but I'm going to take Jalen Petrie just because I don't want this thing to blow up. Normally, I would take Sam Howell at this point, but we'll take Travis Petrie, Jalen Petrie. Excuse me. The Giants need safety help, and pairing him with Xavier McKinney would be bananas. BNAS for all you guys that did it. So now the third round is up. So let's give you up to date with those picks. So George Pickens went 35. Jalen Petrie to the Giants at 36. Kenny Pickett goes to the Texans at 37. Travis Jones then goes to the Jets. The Jets take him. That's good to know. Kyler Gordon, who's rising up draft boards, goes 39 to the Chicago Bears. Boy Mafe goes to Seattle. My God, Boy Mafe goes to Seattle. And they had Sam Howell on the board. And Seattle picked Sam Howell in the second round, 41. I think that's a great pick for them at 41, getting Boy Mafe and Sam Howell in the draft. This is why the Giants need to sniff around Sam Howell, because maybe they can get Seattle to trade up with them at pick 36 and kind of steal some of those picks. The Indianapolis Colts take Traylon Burks. Wow, Atlanta goes David Ajabu at 43. Good pick for them. Quay Walker, who I like a lot, 44 to the Browns. Jahan Dotson, receiver out of Penn State, goes to for the Ravens. Bryce Hall goes to the Minnesota Vikings. Interesting, because they're saying he's rising up draft boards. Washington gets another quarterback in their system. Apparently, the Commanders are taking Matt Carroll. Matt Corral, excuse me, at 47. Interesting pick there. I don't know if they would do that with Carson Wentz on the roster. Jaquan Brisker, safety out of Penn State, is going to Chicago. Nick Bonetti goes to the Saints. So far, the Saints have had a solid draft on this mock. Roger McCreary goes to Kansas City. Man, they are getting all over the place. And the Eagles take Trey McBride in the second round. Interesting. Leo Chanel goes to Pittsburgh. Great. So another Wisconsin Badger goes to Pittsburgh, and you know that they would find a role for that man. Ooh, they would find a role for that gentleman there. Christian Watson goes to Green Bay. That's a good pick for them. Josh Pascal, who I like, goes to New England. Man, the rich get richer in this draft, don't they? Kenneth Walker goes to 55 to Arizona. Interesting pick there. They need a running back. This would help out with Kyler Murray. Logan Hall, another defensive player, goes to the Cowboys. Abram Lucas, Washington State tackle, goes to Buffalo. Interesting that they picked two tackles back to back. John Mitchie, who I like, from Alabama, goes to Atlanta. Drake Jackson, another one of my sleeper picks I like, goes to Green Bay in the second round. Chad Muma, Wyoming linebacker, going to Tampa Bay. Absolutely incredible that he's going to go there and be a part of that franchise going forward. Interesting pick with him because, you know, everyone's mocking him to the third round. He went in the second. Just goes to show, you know, you never know what somebody wants, even though this is a mock draft simulator. So let's just catch up with some of these guys. Let's see. What's going on, my guy? Big Cass says, what's going on? Pickens is an underrated receiver, Jeff says. I agree with you there. Pickett is legit. Big Cass, I agree. Big Cass, I agree with you. I'm going to call you Big Cass just because he was a wrestler and, you know, you got his initials. So I'm going to call you Big Cass. Big Cass is really, but Big Cass sounds cooler. So I would love, Big Cass says, I would love Lloyd or Nakobe Dean, but I don't have high hopes for them drafting on the linebacker going forward. Chopping it up with you, looking forward to chopping it up with you, bro. So am I. Can't wait. Charlotte Hornets just fired their coach, Joseph Bargo. Thank you for the quick NBA update. Jeff always looking out for his premium takes co-host. Thank you for that. Christian Harris would be someone he would like at 36. I would go for that. I went at 36. Obviously, I didn't pick that guy. I went with Petrie, the safety. Marvin Leal, and out of Texas A&M, goes to, again, Cincinnati. Now, Cincinnati would be crazy if they don't pick any offensive linemen here. And then the Denver Broncos make a great selection with Greg DeLucci. And I think that's a great selection because they gave up Noah Fant, who I liked a lot in the Seattle trade when they traded for Russell Wilson. So to get a tight end that would help out Wilson is great. Christian Harris, again, is on the board for Alabama. Jalen was picked by the Jaguars, which is good, underrated linebacker out of Alabama. And Jalen Tolbert, go look him up. The Lions pick him. So Giants are on the clock. Thank God. There's not the real 7 minutes. And there's a lot of edge rushers here going on here. But we got an edge rusher, we got a linebacker. Let's just go over who we picked last time. I picked Leo Chanel in this round. I know I'd go Charles Cross. There's a lot of guys here that fall within this realm. So just for shits and giggles, I'm going to pick Carson Strong as a quarterback developmental prospect in the third round for the Giants. There's no obligation to keep him here. This allows them to get a guy developed. The comparison I heard for Carson Strong is Drew Bledsoe. So that would be a great comparison. And being that the Giants want to go downfield, this is a guy with a big arm who can open up open up that downfield presence. He was pretty good coming out of high school. Blew out his knee, had some surgeries, so that's why he's ranked so low on the board. But I'm hearing that if the medicals pass, he'll be good. Luke Godek goes to the Texans, a tackle. Nick Cross out of Maryland, I think the safety. That's when I think they would really pick a safety. Wow, and Jaguars really building up that defense, taking Troy Anderson out of Montana State, who I really like. I think I would hope the Giants can get him in the third round if they don't pick a quarterback. Jameer Slayer, tackle. Darian Kennard to Seattle. Kirby Joseph, another safety I like, to the Colts. Calvin Austin from Memphis going to the Falcons. Pierre Winfrey, he's going to Denver. Dylan Parham, who I was hoping to get, he went to the Ravens. Cameron Thomas, I like that, to Minnesota. Mathis from Alabama to the Browns, and then Kingsley Ingubert is going to the Chargers. And then Zach Tom, finally, they pick some. Texans need everything. So on the clock right now is the New York Giants, their second, third round pick. And we have a linebacker on there. We have a safety on there. Let's see. Who do we got? There's a center we could take. You know what? I'm going to take the center out of Arizona State, Devon West. Giants need a center. He's ranked 80. The Giants are on the clock with pick 81, so we'll pick him. The Giants have now got their tackle and their center, possibly their quarterback of the future, and a linebacker in Leo Chanel. So that's the end of the mock draft. They are now grading the mock draft that we have here. And being that I didn't pick everybody at the top of the board, they're probably going to hate it. But let's go down the picks so far. So they left Kayvon Thibodeau. They gave A+ on that. They gave me an A+. They gave an A for Kayvon Thibodeau. They gave an A+ for Charles Cross, B for Jalen Petrie, a C- for Carson Strong, which means it's a decent pick. They don't like it there because it's quarterback, but didn't fit their need. But C-, a B+ for Devon West, and an A- so far for the Giants draft. An A freaking minus. Okay, the Giants covered all their bases there. This is a live mock draft. Going for you with a hurry up. So just giving it to you the way you need to be got. The information is good. Here we go. So the mock draft simulator is over. We're just going to go into some of these picks here in this book and just kind of shout out some guys that we like and some guys that you may want to look at if you're a Giant fan. But let's get into some Giant news before we start anything. The Giants have had their press conference and a mini camp these last couple of days, and it's looking promising for their team. They like the culture that's being built is very, very promising. Is very good. I like what Brian Daboll is doing. I like what Joe Schoen's doing. If you really want to kind of get an idea of where they're going in the draft, I suggest you go to Giants.com. Plug Giants.com. John Schmelk and those guys do a great job. Paul Dottino, Lance Meadow, Jeff Fiegels. They all do a great job. They had an interview with Bob Pop and Carl Banks with Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll, and it kind of gave you a philosophy on what they want. The guys they want, tough, dependable, reliable guys. They had a lot of coach speak in there. Brian Daboll didn't put any expectations on it. Obviously, GM Joe Schoen, he's going to try to spin you the company line that they want to be competitive while they build. I think you just need to rebuild it and just be honest with the fan base and say, hey, we're just rebuilding this. Whatever happens. We're just trying to get the best players in here. I think that would lower the expectations. And now, if expectations are where they are, then here we are, right? You don't need to worry about winning 8 games, 9 games, getting to the playoffs. Just worry about building a good football team. The Giants have a lot of holes to fill. I don't think doing this mock draft simulator does anything outside of the fact that, we would like to see a little bit more out of this team. I think, the reports are Daniel Jones is looking good. It's OTAs. He needs to look good right now. I mean, I would look good in shorts and a helmet throwing to people. This is not when you evaluate Daniel Jones. You evaluate Daniel Jones when they kick off in September. That's when you start to evaluate them. Okay, that's when we'll really see when the real bullets fly. Jeff is reporting, just came out, that the Giants front office is extremely high on Charles Cross. I feel he can be a day one starter. I agree with you, Jeff, but that's a lot of smoke and mirrors. We'll see what happens. They could also be doing that because they could want to trade up, because Evan Neal could be on the board. Maybe they'll pick Evan Neal at 7 and get people who like Charles Cross to trade up. So while I believe they like Charles Cross and he would be a good player for them, I think, a lot that you're hearing now, leaking out now, is probably strategy as well. Now, if he falls to them at 5 and he's on the board and he's the last tackle on there, you better believe they're going to gobble him up. If there's 2 tackles on the board left and there's a defensive player or a trade that needs to be made, I think they'll make a trade and see which one falls to them. Remember, this is the rumor season, the lying season. So you can't take everything with there that's true, but you also have to raise an eyebrow every once in a while and say, look into it, investigate it. I know people will say, well, they go to pro days, and I was listening to a podcast the other day, and Paul Dino goes, well, sometimes they bring in guys to check them off a list. And I'm like, in my eyes, I'm like, you don't bring in guys to just check them off a list all the time, right? Sometimes you bring them in to really get to know them because you're interested in them. And why waste time, right? Why waste time? And I bring up a guy like Sam Howell. Now, they may not draft Sam Howell, but they've done a lot of investigating with Sam Howell, right? They went to his pro day. They've been to a lot of they brought him in for a top 30 visit. So, they saw him at the Senior Bowl, right? They met with him at the Combine. It's a lot of meetings to have with a guy that you're not interested in drafting. I'm sorry. It just is. You know what I mean? It's a lot of meetings to be held for guys that you're not interested in. I mean, they went and they saw Kenny Pickett. They only had like 1 scout at Kenny Pickett's pro day, and they flat out said they weren't drafting him, right? So I'm not saying the Giants are going to take a quarterback. My stance with Daniel Jones. I think it's more to do with Daniel Jones than the offensive line. I think Tiger doesn't change his stripes. Just because you improve the offensive line, does that mean you improve Daniel Jones? And I know bringing in Brian Daboll, again, is the same methodology for what they brought in with Dave Brown back in 1997 with Jim Fossil. Let's bring in a guy who's an offensive coordinator who has helped guys like Boomer Esiason and Kent Graham and the quarterbacks of that ilk in that era with Arizona to bring in a guy to help Daniel Jones, because it's all focused around Daniel Jones here. I look at it like this. If you're rebuilding a team, you should just gut it and just rebuild from the ground up, right? Just leave the foundation if there is much. And there are some foundational players here. Thomas, McKinney, Azeez Ojulari is looking pretty good. Those are guys I would keep around. Darnay Holmes, I'm kind of interested in. Aaron Robinson is some guy I would keep. But the other guys, like Daniel Jones, been here 3 years, right? Any other quarterback in the league is getting shown the door. This guy is not. And it's fine. You can make up whatever excuse or fact or whatever you want to run about him. Oh, well, we did him dirty and not an offensive line. Great. I get it. And nobody wants to. Here's the thing that annoys me about that offensive line thing is that a lot of teams have had bad offensive lines and their quarterbacks have either overcome or, have made a difference in ball games, right? But our quarterback has not. Now, you can say, oh, you want, yeah, they probably would have won a few more games with Daniel Jones. Okay, that's fine. I'll give you that. So the Giants are 6-10 next year, or 6-11 instead of 4-13. Great. It's still a losing team, right? The record with Daniel Jones is 12-49. Some crazy record. He has a 12-25. Something crazy. Not even 500 yet. At least Eli Manning was 500. But my point is that Daniel Jones, I'm going to support. But there are things about his game that scare me. There are things with the Buffalo Bills offense that were built into their offense that helps them out. That Josh Allen overcompensated for. Why? Because he was a good player. They developed him as raw clay. And Kyle Brandt said it best on NFL Network. He said, Giants should draft a quarterback if he's there and just let Daniel Jones play and groom this guy, right? Because no one believes that Daniel Jones is going to be a starter or going beyond this point. And to me, he has to be a top 10 elite quarterback to keep him. I don't care if he has, he needs 30 touchdowns, 4,000 yards, 12 interceptions, and hardly any fumbles lost. And let me tell you something. The Brian Daboll, Mike Kafka offense is going to go deep. They even said it. They said it in Big Blue Kickoff Live, a lot of those guys said it when they were watching practice. There's a lot of interesting formations. One of the things that they saw was they were going downfield more. Well, guess what that means if you go downfield more? You're going to either have to max protect or bring in a guy to, kind of help out with pass protection. And Daniel Jones has a propensity to lock on a receiver. Now, if he locks on that guy and he's trying to go deep to Tony or Galladay or whoever the case may be, and let's say Charles Cross is the pick, and he's going up against, Joey Bosa or, Fletcher Cox or one of these defensive players who kind of have a leg up because they're veteran, right? And then he beats this rookie. Now, Daniel Jones may be able to see it, but let's just say, Daniel Jones doesn't move or he doesn't do the things that he needs to do, right? And there's a fumble on the play because Daniel Jones' drop back was too deep and Charles Cross can't quite get his man pushed out of the play, and the defensive tackle comes in and knocks the ball out. Because guess what? That's what Daniel Jones' problem is. He can do the short throws, but if you're going to do deep passes and build deep throws, you're going to need that time. And we have no idea what this offensive line is going to do. We have no idea how complex their offensive scheme is. We have no idea how long they're going to be to get there to gel. Right, these 4 games and the schedule comes out May 12th. We can look at the opponents right now, and I kind of give you an idea of who the New York Giant opponents are going to be, because I know people were talking about this and they want to do it. So let's look at the opponents for the Giants and kind of give you and Mac the Giants fan and I will definitely be going over not only these opponents, but the opponents in the NFC East as well. But home games, the Giants should have 9 of them, if I'm not mistaken. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is a 17th game schedule. It alternates. So last year they had 8 home games. This year they have 9 home games. And let's be honest, the Chicago Bears probably are not going to be good this year. Detroit Lions are probably not going to be good this year. But guess what? Chicago doesn't need a quarterback, but Detroit does. So, winning that game only pushes the Giants out of the quarterback market. The Colts, who are going to be a big-time player in the AFC South, they're going to be playing hard. They're going to have quarterback. That's a good team. I can see them losing that game, right? Texans, that's a game that the Giants should be in this game if we believe. Carolina, again, should be in this game. But, again, these are 50-50 ball games. Let's go over the 50-50 games for the Giants. Chicago, Detroit, Texans, and Carolina are the home games, 50-50 games, right? The opponents that I believe will give them some trouble are Colts, the Ravens at home. Okay, that's a playoff caliber team. The Cowboys at home, they're a playoff team. Eagles at home, they're a playoff team. That's already 4 teams right there. And then Washington football team beat them twice, or the Commanders beat them twice last year. So right now, that's out of the 4 home games. I don't see the Giants. I see the Giants being 50-50 favorites in 4 out of the 5 home games, 4 out of the 9 home games that they have. So 5 of them, 5 of the, yes, right? Is that right? Yeah. 5 of them, 5 of the opponents at home, I think they'll be the underdogs. Now, those are the home teams. There's not talking about the away teams now. Now, the away teams are Green Bay, Minnesota, Jacksonville, Tennessee, Seattle, the Cowboys, the Eagles, and the Washington team again. So the Packers went to the playoffs last year. Minnesota is above 500 ball club, always feisty, and the defense is pretty good. Jacksonville, who's the first overall pick this year, again, it will be a 50-50 game for the Giants. Will they win that game? I don't know. We won't know. You never know, and you can't. It's a 50-50. I'm going to call them 50-50 games, and that means that the Giants have a chance to win them and are on the same level as them. Another team that went to the playoffs, Tennessee. Okay, that's another game the Giants will not be favored in. And then they play the Cowboys again at home. Who knows what they're going to be? And then Seattle is a 50-50 game with what they've done so far in the offseason. And then again, Washington and Philadelphia. So, let's say they split and they win 1, 2, 3 divisional games, right? There's still a propensity to lose against Tennessee, Green Bay, and Minnesota, and then the 4 home games that I told you that they may or may not be favored in. So if you look at it, let's just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 winnable games on the Giants' schedule right now. And everyone's going to be the Giants were 4-13. Okay? So you're playing a bunch of last place teams, and they play the NFC Central. Okay? They play the Chicago, Detroit, Minnesota, and Green Bay. And they play one loser from the NFC South, and that's Carolina, because they beat Carolina and they lost to Atlanta. Okay? So then they play Jacksonville, and they play the AFC South. So they play the AFC South this year. They got the Colts and they got the Texans. Okay? And then they play one random game against the opponent in the AFC Central. Okay? Or AFC North if you want to be AFC Central. That's dating me. That's dating me way back in the day. They used to call the AFC North and the NFC North the AFC Central. But then they moved to 4 divisions. So the Giants right here, I can see 5 legit winnable games. And those are 50-50 games, meaning they can go either way. And then the remaining games are the Giants aren't going to be favored in any of those ball games going forward. Okay? So don't tell me about the damn schedule. Don't give me that damn schedule. Bullcrap. Okay? Look at Mac the Giant says Baltimore. Baltimore is going to be fighting for a playoff spot. Okay? We don't know when they're going to play them either. This is all about timing. So when the schedule comes out on May 12th, and me, Mac and I are doing our show about the schedule, and we go down the schedule and we talk about the opponents and things like that, because we're going to get in depth with the opponents. We're probably going to give you our takes on wins and losses, and that's cool. But most likely we're going to tell you about the opponents and kind of give you a scouting report on it. But don't tell me about the dang schedule and how easy it is. Okay, because right now the Giants in the last 6 games of the year couldn't beat a damn high school football team. They couldn't beat Don Bosco Prep or Bergen Catholic, 2 of the powerhouses in New Jersey. And those are high school teams. And now all of a sudden we're looking at it, and they won one game in the NFC East last year. One. And that was against Philadelphia. Sorry, dad duties. Sometimes your son comes in the middle of a live stream and you got to mute and talk. Look like you're talking to yourself there. But I just wanted to give that out, the Hurry Up Live. I'm going to be ending the stream shortly. I don't know if there's anybody in the chat that wants to come on or chat it up. You're more than welcome to. I don't know if Jeff, you're free. I can put the link in there and we can go. But I'll put the link in the description right now, and you guys can join me if you'd like. And talk some football with me, but I just can't get over people telling me about the schedule and this team, right? The Giants haven't earned, at least in my eyes, the right to be a favorite in any of these games, but the 50-50 games are where they're going to earn their money. And on the schedule, they have 5 legitimate, no, more than that, excuse me. Sorry, more than 5. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games. 6 games of 50-50 ball club, right? So that's where I think they're going to be. 7 wins, 6 wins team, and that's what you're expecting. That's how I'm looking at the schedule of opponents right now. Again, these 50-50 games you could win. We don't know who's going to be there for the Giants, who's not going to be there for the Giants, who's going to be there for other teams, who's not going to be there for other teams. Like the Jaguars are improving. I know people don't want to look at that, but they've got their quarterback. Maybe they get Aiden Hutchinson. Right? Maybe they get Kayvon Thibodeau. Maybe they take a Trayvon Walker. Now you got Walker on one side and Josh Allen on the other. And you've got a rookie tackle playing for the Giants on one side. I'm just saying. You got linemen who may or may not be there. You got guys who aren't great. I hope they gel. But we won't know until the games are played, until the strategy is going on. And like I said, these 50-50 games are the games you want them to win. The other games, which, again, 6 of them are against the NFC East, but they only won one game in the NFC East, and they probably could have lost that game too if Jalen Reagor knows how to catch a freaking football. So for me, I can't just anoint the Giants a winning ball club. I can't just say that they're going to be good after winning 4 games. Now, giving them 6 wins, that looks totally doable, especially with 6 50-50 games, for me, in my eyes, on the schedule. You can throw division games out the window, but I think everyone was better than the Giants last year, and I think the Giants are going to finish 4th place in the division this year going forward. Because the Commanders, whether you like them or not, got better. The Eagles, if the draft plays out like the mock draft that I did, they're going to be better. The Cowboys are always pesky. I know people are like, well, they gave up Amari Cooper and their off the line isn't great and the defense isn't this, that, and the other thing. They'll be the Cowboys are the Cowboys. They're not going to be, the worst I see them being is 8-9. Okay, so that leaves the Giants, who are going to play Green Bay, Baltimore, Indianapolis, Tennessee, the Cowboys, and then you have Minnesota, who's going to be in there. And we have no idea where these teams will fall. Okay. And what I mean by that is in Chicago, what if Chicago's like, you know what? We don't want to beat the Giants. We're playing a late game in December. We don't want to beat them. We want to be ahead of them. 3 teams wanted to trade for Reagor. Well, you should have accepted that trade. And you don't have that bum on your team. But the point is, scouting is not an exact science, right? And I know we were talking about Daniel Jones and everything like that, but these are the games that I need Daniel Jones to perform in. This is the game. The game against Indianapolis, the game against Baltimore, the game against Dallas and the Eagles at home. And Washington he seems to own, but he lost the game in Washington. Right? Like, look at it. They played Washington number 2, the number 2 game in the year last year, and I think that was a microcosm of their season. They were up in the game, and then they couldn't close out defensively. We'll see what happens. These are the things that you have to look at. This is why I can't anoint the Giants anything, because they haven't proven me anything. The only thing they've proven to me over the last half a decade or more is they're perennial losers. And even the Eagles, who last year I picked, I would take a half a cup of Gatorade for him. I would take just the cup of Gatorade. I would take the empty cup of Gatorade that says Gatorade on it for him. But for me, what I think is interesting is that the Giants won 4 games last year. Expectations were a little higher that they would be in the division to fight for the division and things like that. And they fell, and the wheels came off the bus, and that's fine. It's totally understandable that the wheels would fall off the bus here. And I'm not trying to say anything more than, let's give it a chance. Right now, like I said, Mac, the Giants fan, and I, we're definitely going to be doing a lot of NFC East previews and stuff. So we're going to have a chance to really dive into all of this. And then, of course, you have training camp, right? We're going to be doing training camp previews and all like that to just give you updates on MVCast. I'll pick your brain on your team in a couple of weeks, and we can add those information to an actual Eagle fan, because I don't take my sources from just YouTube people or just the media. You got to actually research. You got to find fans who know the team. You got to find posters who know the team, and you got to ask them the questions that really matter so you can get an idea of what's going on. Don't just haphazardly blow it up. But if Giant fans, I'm not saying don't be optimistic. That's first and foremost. I don't want to say don't be optimistic. What I'm trying to say to you is be realistic, okay? Before we decide to jump to 8 wins, 9 wins, 10 wins, whatever it is, and everyone thinks they're going to win, look at that schedule. That schedule, to me, I see 6 winnable games on there and 6 games where the Giants won't be favored. At least. 11 games where the Giants won't be favored. At least. And you can tell me divisional opponents throw it out the window. They're going. Every team in the division has either a quarterback they like or a guy that they trust going forward. And you don't think that they're going to want to win games? They don't. Those teams want to win. They went to playoffs last year. They're going to want to win football games. Mike McCarthy's ass is on the line. Okay, Ron Rivera's ass is on the line. And he went to the playoffs in his first year. People forget about that. And if they don't have Tyler Heineke, they probably win that game, that playoff game. That's not an opinion. That's probably a fact. Even though Tyler Heineke played pretty well, I would have still started Alex Smith. That's just me. Because there was big time moments in that game where you needed him to come through. So for me, that's what I would do. But I'm just saying, I'm not saying don't be optimistic, because I think that is a cause for stuff. You don't need him to be this over the top kind of guy. What you need from the Giants is consistency. Do what the Jets did. I know people don't want to talk about that, but the Jets, whether they're not going, the Jets are going to have a hard time because of the people who are in their division, not because of the talent on their team. They're going to be in a lot of games, but they're going to have trouble because New England, Miami, and Buffalo are all ahead of them. So those teams are a little bit further along in their process. The Giants, you have to when you rebuild a team, you can't half-ass it. And that the Giants can't half-ass it. And if anybody thinks that anybody in the media is going to pick this team to be favored, they got to watch the games. Again, these are microcosms of it. We don't know where teams will be, where they're going to fall, and who knows. Like, for example, let's hypothetically go down the list, right? And let's just say they open the season in Chicago. Let's say they can win that game, right? But then, later on down the road, they play the Ravens in November and December. And November and December, they play these teams like Green Bay, Minnesota. Like, do I want to go see Minnesota in November? I mean, it was not that we play outside, but do I want to play a team that's, in that playoff hunt? Because those teams that I mentioned, Green Bay, Minnesota, Tennessee, Dallas, Indianapolis, these teams are fighting for Super Bowls, okay? And depending on what happens with the Texans, we have no idea. And that's only the teams that the Giants play. If you want to go for the full 32 teams, let's look at the full 32 teams real quick. And I'll give you my synopsis on them, right? A brief synopsis. And what I mean by that, you'll find out in a second. And Earl Thomas wants to come back. Let's go with that. Great. Earl Thomas, you had your chance, man. You blew it. But let's look at the Arizona Cardinals. They're not going to probably need a quarterback. Who knows? Maybe they will. Baltimore Ravens will or will not need a quarterback. Atlanta's going to need a quarterback because I don't think Mariota is going to be the long-term future. You can rule out the Buffalo Bills. You can rule out Cincinnati. Carolina, we have no idea. Depends on what they do this draft. But if they don't pick a quarterback, they'll need a quarterback next year. Justin Fields is probably going to be there for Chicago. Cleveland, just got their quarterback, so they're not going to use one. Denver has, Russell Wilson. Dallas got Dak Prescott. Detroit's got Jared Goff, so they might choose a quarterback if they don't choose one this year. And let's say they don't. Let's say all the teams that the quarterback don't, that we think might go quarterback don't. Houston, they like Davis Mills, so let's say he improves, and maybe they don't need a quarterback next year. You got Green Bay, Indianapolis, Los Angeles. Jacksonville won't need one. Minnesota may or may not need one. The Chiefs won't need one. We'll see. Las Vegas not going to need one. The Giants probably will. Chargers probably won't. Philadelphia may be in the market for a quarterback. Who knows about Miami, San Francisco, New England, we know. Denver. Seattle definitely will probably need one. The Jets are going to work around their guy. Tampa Bay, Pittsburgh, Tennessee. There are so many teams right now that have guys in there, but will the Giants be close enough to get there, right? Will they be close enough to get a top guy? You hope, but what if Houston decides they need a quarterback next year when the quarterback class is better, right? This is what I'm saying. You take a quarterback now in a draft like a Carson Strong, like a Sam Howell, and you develop him like the Eagles did with Jalen Hurts. Then next year, if you happen to fall out of the top 10, you got a guy that you're going to try to build with, and then in 2024, you can go get your guy. Or you can go get a guy that's disgruntled. Maybe Baker Mayfield improves. I don't know. I'm not saying that these are issues. All I'm saying is you got to look at all your options. The draft is coming up, folks. The draft is going to be one hell of a time. Peter King said it best. I watched a podcast last night with Peter Schrager, and I suggest you go and watch that. Schrager's really locked in, but go and watch that draft. The draft is going to be great. I think it's the first time in a long time you have no consensus on the number one pick, which Peter King was talking about. For many drafts, this last drafts, the first round was boring. The first pick was boring because you knew the top quarterback was going. 2019, you knew Kyler Murray. 2020, you knew I think Joe Burrow was that guy. And then 2021, you knew who went 2021? I'm forgetting now. But you knew Trevor Lawrence was going at number one last year, right? So this year, you have no idea. There's so many things swarming around. It's going to be appointment television, to steal something from Anita Marks. Appointment television. So anyways, folks, this has been an episode of the Hurry Up Live. I hope you enjoyed the mock draft. Hope you enjoyed some of the insight. Look for me on the Hurry Up Live, Premium Takes, and then the NFC East Roundtable coming May 4th. First show of the season. We're going to recap the NFC East drafts. We're going to go over their players. We're going to go over their schedule. Or the opponents that they play, and we're going to give our takes, Mac and I, on everything NFC East. Thanks for joining me. Hope you enjoyed the show. And as always, enjoy the draft, and let's see if my mock draft comes true. We will follow up with that later. Have a great one.